Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is 12 o'clock on the nose, so we are going to go ahead and get started. As a reminder, we do record these sessions. They will be available online by the end of the week. The recording has started. And for those of you who have been with us multiple weeks, you know that I always ask a nice little feel-good icebreaker. So if you can take yourself off mute, you can write in the chat whatever is easiest for you, but tell me something good. Let's share some good news. I feel like we hear so much of the bad that's in the world. Who has some good news? I can share mine first. This past weekend, I was able to see a really good friend, and she got married. And it was such a sweet little event. Anyone else have anything good to share? Joe says Prancer, the demonic chihuahua of social media infamy, was finally adopted. Yes, that is the best news. I love to see when fur friends get adopted. Thank you. That is good news. I like that. Anybody else have anything good they want to share, either in their own lives or on a bigger level? Awesome. As a reminder, if at any time through the health chat, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to use that chat function. Take yourself off mute, whatever is easiest for you. For those of you who may be joining us for the first time, my name is Rachel Phillips, and I am one of the health coaches here at Incenta Health. Thank you so much for joining us. We get together every Wednesday and talk about different health topics. The end of the month, we always do a health coach Q&A. So we ask you to send your questions in. I get to do a little bit of research about them and then present them to you all. So hopefully if you sent your question in, it got into this month's. If not, we'll add it next month. Let's start off. So a question that we actually have gotten a few times is, what should I look for in a protein bar or protein supplement? And the number one thing I recommend, and that the professionals recommend, is looking for something that has limited added sugar in it. And sugar comes in a couple different forms. If the ingredient ends with OSE, fructose, glucose, sucrose, it tends to be a sugar. So like high fructose corn syrup is a processed sugar in limited quantities. It's not bad for us, but the more we eat it, the we can increase our risk for high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, all of these other wonky things. So that would probably be the number one thing, is look for something that has not a ton, if any, added sugar. And then you want something that actually packs some protein in it. So I forgot what the exact rule is, but if you're eating a true protein bar and it has less than 20 grams of protein, probably not the best bang for your buck. We also want to look at all natural ingredients in a fewer amount of ingredients. So things like Cliff bars, I know, are really popular. There's a ton of sugar in them and a ton of ingredients, so maybe not the best option for you. But like a Kind bar might. It has very few ingredients. The nuts, the protein's coming from real foods rather than man-made foods. So hopefully that helps answer that one. And another question we get a ton is, I've fallen off the wagon either the last week, the last month. What can I do to get back on track? I think number one is to say this is part of the human condition. Oh, awesome. Patricia says, my best friend makes her own protein bars, but she is more talented than I. Those sound really tasty. And there are some good like protein balls and such recipes on the internet. So feel free to look into those. I have one that is vegetarian and vegan friendly. If you want that recipe, they're really tasty. Irma, I'm going to get to that question after number two, and then we can talk about that. I hope that's okay. So we're going to go back to I've fallen off the wagon. I can't get back on track. First step is to give yourself grace and say this is part of the human condition. At no point is anybody perfect with their habits all of the time. Life would be really boring if we didn't ever make mistakes, right? Like I don't think we would have the light bulb if we didn't make mistakes. So that's step number one. And step number two is very difficult for a lot of us to do. I think, I don't know if it's our brain or if it's society, but we're very black or white of like, well, I fell off the wagon this weekend. I'm just gonna, keep these habits until the end of the month. I'll start next month. There's no really good reason to wait. I think what we can say is today I didn't do as well as I wanted to. I didn't meet my goals in the way that I planned, but tomorrow I'm going to try again. And at no point, if you've fallen off the wagon, either with your food or with your exercise, you have to punish yourself. So if this last weekend you went out and you had pizza with your friends, a couple times, you don't have to restrict your calories this week. You just have to go back to your baseline caloric intake, and you don't have to go and do an excess amount of exercise that actually puts more stress on our body than not. So you just have to get back into your normal routine rather than going overboard, which I think is really nice to know. And we can, again, give ourselves a little bit of grace. The cool thing about our bodies and our metabolism is that it takes an extended period of time to really change either our weight going up or our weight going down. So if you have, a whole weekend where you're out of town and you eat really good food, you're with friends, you drink alcohol, whatever it could be, your body is not going to immediately put on weight. It doesn't do that. No one really knows why, but we don't add weight that quickly. Just like if you have a really good week, you're not going to like lose 10 pounds really quickly. I know that's always helpful for me to remember of like, it's okay that this weekend I went out of town and I ate really good food and I'm not going to put on a ton of weight this week and I'm just going to get back into my regular schedule of eating well and going to the gym, etc. One other thing I think is really important, if you fall off the wagon a lot, it might be time to reevaluate what your habits are and make amendments to those. So if your idea of perfection is going to the gym 7 days a week, and you don't go 7 days a week, you're not hitting that goal. So maybe you're falling off the wagon, that all or nothing mentality. So maybe it's with 6 days a week at the gym just isn't sustainable for me. So maybe I'm only going to go 4 days a week. Let's try that. And maybe I feel more successful with staying on the wagon and I don't have to like beat myself up for missing a day or anything like that. So I hope that helps of, leave the past in the past and let's keep our eyes moving forward. And as a gentle reminder, practice the 80-20, that 80% of the time, we do all of the right things. We eat healthful foods, we move our bodies, but that 20% of the time, like life happens. Get that ice cream, watch that movie, whatever it could be. Imelda says, replace saying practice makes perfect with a better saying practice makes progress. Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer in progress over perfection. It's the same thing of if you gave your kid a plate of broccoli for dinner, you'd probably want them to eat 1 or 2 bites of the broccoli rather than not eating any of the broccoli. Same thing with you as an adult. Irma posted a question too, so let's address that. For everyday meal plan, it is hard to follow it because we don't have everything in the house. Do you have the list for the week so we can buy all the items in advance? Irma, I'm assuming you're saying in the app or online. Is there like a shopping list, a weekly menu or a shopping list? And the answer is yes. Every Sunday, we release those to you for the upcoming week. So if in your profile, you go to the nutrition tab, under the nutrition tab, there should be 2 buttons that say print shopping list and print weekly menu. And that shopping list will have everything that you need for that week. Same thing with the menu. It'll show all 6 of the meal ideas each day. So Irma, if you need more help with that, feel free to just chat us in your app or online, and we can help navigate you through that process. Of course. How can I eat well while traveling, especially now that COVID is starting to get a little bit more behind us, things are opening up a little bit more. So how can you eat well while traveling, or maybe keep up your progress that you've made over the last year of being stuck at home? I think number 1 is having a plan. So planning out what meals you're going to eat out, knowing where you're going to go. You can look up the menu beforehand and you can go into that meal with a plan. So instead of sitting down and saying, I'm really hungry, I want the biggest burger and fries and largest chocolate milkshake on the menu, you already know in your head what you're going to be ordering. For meals that you eat out as well, asking for all your condiments on the side will help you save some calories, especially with some of those salads where it seems like they pour the entire bottle of the salad dressing on your salad. You can moderate a little bit better. Things like grilled chicken are obviously a little bit more calorie friendly than like grilled fried chicken. Eating only half of your plate, if you've all have eaten out and you get this like giant portion that could feed a family of 4, it's okay to have leftovers. It's okay to not finish your plate. Take a doggy back home. Another great one that I follow is that at least 1 meal a day. I go, like when I travel somewhere, the first day I land, I go to the grocery store, and at least 1 meal a day, I will buy food from the grocery store. You're not going to eat as much, and you really get to control exactly what's in the food that you're providing or that you're eating. And it doesn't have to be anything that's big and grandiose. A lot of like hotels and things don't have big kitchens. Now with Airbnbs, we have a little bit more access to that, but something as simple as like a package of nuts and some fruit might be my breakfast every day. And I can be a little bit more mindful of what I'm eating, so I can enjoy the meals later on. So I hope that helps as well. And again, if you have any questions on any of these, feel free to let us know. We've recently released a 4th meal plan, 4th or 5th, I don't remember. We released this Mediterranean meal plan. So what is it? The Mediterranean diet comes out of that region of the world. The Mediterranean diet is very much focused on eating lots of fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables, limiting or processed grains. So your breads, anything that's baked, anything that you really buy in a box is a processed something. It's high in omega-3 fatty acids from fish. It limits the amount of meat that we eat outside of fish and poultry. And it's very heavy on those healthy fats. So you'll see a lot of like avocado, low fat, dairy, things like that. It is proven to be one of the most health beneficial diet plans in the world. And there's significant science behind the Mediterranean diet that it can do a couple things for your health. One, if you are pre-diabetic, it can actually reduce your risk significantly by replacing what we call the standard American diet with the Mediterranean diet. You can reduce your risk for developing type 2 diabetes. There's also a study, a meta study that came out of Harvard Medicine that's they took a large number of folks that were diagnosed with either major depression or a generalized anxiety disorder. And over a course of time, they gave all of these participants, I want to say it was like close to 100,000 folks with those diagnoses, and they gave all of them some sort of dietary intervention, with one of the dietary interventions being the Mediterranean meal plan or meal diet. And of this giant meta study, they showed that every person that had a dietary intervention had a mitigation. 2/3 of the population had a mitigation in their symptoms, and 1/3 had complete remediation of their symptoms. So they were no longer showing symptoms that made them have, how am I trying to say this? They didn't have the right symptoms to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety anymore. So it mitigated some of those mental health barriers. So if you yourself are pre-diabetic or worried about developing type 2 diabetes, it might be a good meal plan for you to check out. Same thing with if you struggle with your mental health, depression, and or anxiety, it's there has been benefit to treatment of those as well. And if anything I just said, you're like, I don't believe you, or I want to see the science, please let me know and I will make sure you get it. I don't like to tell you things that aren't based in science. So a question we get a lot, especially with our diabetes prevention program, is that carbs are bad. Is this true? And probably for all of us, we lived through the 90s where everything was Atkins and low carb, low carb, low carb, low carb. At the end of the day, carbs themselves are not bad. It's where you're getting your carb from. So processed flour and sugar has been shown to have pretty detrimental health effects on our heart, on our diabetes risk, on our mental health. But if we think of carbs, things like fruits and vegetables or carbohydrates, they're not bad. They're pretty low in calories and they are high in nutrients, and they give us vitamins and minerals to help our body systems do what they're supposed to. The other thing with carbohydrate is we break them down into glucose molecules, and our brain is one of the only organs that does not use ketones. It can, it just doesn't want to. So we want to have glucose in our diet. Now, I'm not saying go out and only eat carbs. You still need the fat and the protein. There are huge benefits to both of those, but you do not have to follow a no carb diet. That's called the keto diet. The keto diet was made for treatment resistant kiddos with epilepsy. We just want to be smarter about the carbs that we're eating. My rule of thumb is if you cannot grow it yourself, you probably not, and it's not If you don't have a green thumb, that's not part of it. But if you can't go out in nature and find it, it's probably not the best thing for you. So eat those carbs. Just be mindful of the processed. So things like fruits, vegetables, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes for that matter, brown rice, quinoa, barley, like pearled barley. Those are all good for you. You can go out in nature, grow those, harvest those, you're good to go. The carbs that we want to eat less of, things that come in boxes or bags with white flour, or from like a bakery, things like that. So hope that helps, but carbs themselves are not bad. Chickpea pasta, perfect. Chickpeas are a great replacement, and one of my favorite foods. I think I single-handedly buy out all of the chickpeas from my local grocery store. And they're a really good replacement for protein as well. So if you're trying to eat less meat, chickpeas are a really good way to do it. And pro tip, you can put them on a baking sheet, put some seasoning on them, bake them, and they make a really nice snack. Next question. I gave up soda and replaced it with juice or Gatorade, or insert some other sugar sweetened beverage here. Is that a healthy choice? Maybe for you, you are consuming less sugar. Maybe you're not. Juice and Gatorade tend to give us a lot of sugar and not a whole lot of anything else other than sugar and flavoring, especially juice. If I were to give you an orange, you could probably eat maybe an orange or two, but if I gave you orange juice, I'm going through 7, 8, 9 oranges, and you just can't eat that many at a time. You're also, with the juice, you're also losing the fiber and some of the vitamins and minerals. So the good things, the things that keep you full, that don't spike your blood pressure, your blood sugar quite as much, are going away with juice. And with Gatorade, again, yes, it gives us some of those electrolytes, but there's a ton of sugar, ton of sugar, in Gatorade. So yes, you gave up soda, awesome. Ideas of healthier ways to replace soda. Think like LaCroix or other seltzer waters, obviously not spiked ones, but seltzer waters that have no added sugar or added flavoring. And if you don't like the fizziness, infusing your water with different fruits just to give it a little bit of flavor help. So lemon, lime, orange, jalapeno, watermelon, mint leaves, berries, whatever you can come up with. That's a better idea. Just throw some of those in there with your water, get a little bit of that sweetness, and you are getting all of that extra added sugar. Linda just say, I had chickpea pasta and eggplant parmesan where I substituted panko with almond flour. Linda, I'm coming to your house next time you make that. That sounds delicious. It sounds very high in fiber too. So all around a good meal. Oh no. So the next question, can I lower my cholesterol without medication? By and far, make sure if you have high cholesterol, make sure you are under the care of your doctor. But there is significant evidence that says you can control your cholesterol with dietary and physical activity changes. Physical activity does so many good things for our bodies, including helping lower our bad cholesterol. Another thing that you can do is eliminate high fructose corn syrup from your diet. Our bodies are funny things, and they have a couple like check stops for our metabolism, and fructose doesn't listen to any of the rules like anything else does. So while fructose is doing its thing, everything else has to kind of sit around and wait in our bloodstream to be metabolized. And fat is one of those things. fatty acids are the precursor to cholesterol. So by reducing the amount of high fructose corn syrup in our diet, things get moved along in our systems a little bit faster, which has seen a decrease in cholesterol. I always share the story that I have hereditary high cholesterol. I was diagnosed when I was like 21. And I went to my doctor and said, I'm gonna take what I'm learning in my dietetics classes, and I'll check in with you in 6 months. If it's still high, we can talk about a treatment plan. But if I can get it under control with diet and exercise, I'm gonna just keep doing that. And within that 6 months, I dropped my cholesterol into the healthy range, which was over 100 points. I like to share that story of like, it actually works. And your health coaches aren't infallible either. So we also have our things that we go through. So I'm more than willing to talk about that offline as well. And again, any of your diagnoses, please make sure that you consult with your doctor. I believe the last question we have today is, I'm feeling sick. Should I still work out? And I'm going to take this out of the context of COVID times. Obviously, if you are feeling sick in a pandemic, please, please, please stay home. Unless if you know without a shadow of a doubt that it is not COVID, please, please, please stay home. Otherwise, we're going to take the COVID-19 lens away. If you're feeling sick, should I still work out? And there's a yes time and a no time. Moving our bodies is actually really beneficial in our immunity. Our immune system, it's called our lymphatic system. It's our lymph nodes. If you ever get sick, you feel them really swollen up in your neck. Our lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump, so our lymph doesn't move throughout our body without our cardiovascular system. So our heart, and when you work out, even if it's a walk, just something to elevate your heart rate a little bit, helps move the lymph and all the bugs and nastiness through your body so we can better fight off that infection. So if you're feeling a little bit meh, I would say, yeah, still go work out. Maybe don't give it 100%. If we're sick and not feeling great, we're more likely to injure ourselves. So if you're not feeling too hot, yes, you can still work out. Just make sure that you're adapting your workout to meet your physical state. If you have a fever, please don't go out in public and share those germs. I believe you have to be fever free for 24 hours. Right. If you probably want to send your kid to school, you shouldn't be going to the gym. If you want to work out at home and maybe just get some movement because it might feel good in your body, yes, do that. And again, this is all pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, when we don't have to worry about if everybody has a nasty bug or not. So I hope all of those questions helped. If at any time you want to catch up on our videos or recordings, you want to share them with your colleagues, family members, whatever it could be, head over to incentahealth.com/wellness chats, and they're all there. We will be, wrong slide. May's wellness chats haven't been scheduled quite yet, so I do apologize. We will get those topics out to you early next week. If in the meantime you have any questions over anything that we chatted about today, anything that comes up in the app, etc., feel free to email us, call us, or chat with us. Somebody is standing by Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Mountain Standard Time.